Hello friends, I just wanted to stop in and show you what I've been doing while I've been staying at home. And what I've managed to do is make my favorite little organizing journal. If you watch my previous videos, you know I've been making organizing journals, so this is my favorite. There you go. And to make it, I use little bits and pieces, and I use this hanging file folder. I take the metal out, cut the ends, save it, and then it's got the little things here. I got this idea from Nick the Booksmith, N-I-K, the Booksmith, and she's got a tutorial on there. It's called Accountant Journal, I believe, or Accountant's Organizer. This is the file folder that I cut up and use inside. And this is the hanging file folder once I've trimmed it down. The folder, manila folder that I use inside when I've got it glued like you should, and then I sew around the hanging file folder. And when I sew, I just use my Singer sewing machine. It's just my regular one. I don't do anything special. It's not heavy duty, and it's the same one I use when I sew clothes or masks or anything else. And so this is so far my favorite journal. This is called Simply Handmade, and it's a half size. Once I got it assembled in the pieces, I cut this part in half, and then as I got each manila insert ready, I cut it in half and then assembled it the same as always. So here I have taken a stamp and stamped on my little circle where I put my eyelet with my big shot, and to stamp with that I use these little spool stamps that I have. And I do not know where I got them, but they're pretty cool, and they're blue on this side if any of you know the brand of company that makes those, but they're the ones that I use for that. And then Simply Handmade also came from this one right here. These are some sewing ones I've had for years, and I'm making an effort to use some of the ones I haven't used before, and I'm really liking this. You'll see this one several times through there. That's Simply Handmade, and this is some, I didn't use these ladies, but I did use this measuring tape, and I do not know who made these either. So as I open this up, it just closes with elastic and wraps around. There's nothing special on here. I just sew it around the sides here to keep it together. On the left inside, I've got a pocket, clear pocket that's a stick-on I trimmed down. I sewed around the edges and then glued it down. This is made from the instructions that came in a vintage pattern. And then over here, I made a pocket using the front of a vintage pattern. I really like these ladies. I kind of tore them to make them look vintage and ragged. And then this is the little insert I have. I'm not sure I'm going to keep that there, but I have it here to show you. It is a pocket. And then you turn the pages. There are 12 of these, just like you would do on the accountant's journal, because that's like for monthly. So I just made this one the Ray Original, and I didn't know I was going to turn it into what I did until I got in the middle of it, which is how most of my things go. On the left side here is just a blank piece of cardstock, and I've stamped with stitches all around the sides, and here is that measuring tape that I told you would see. The stitches came from Bo Bunny Stitches stamp, and it's Stitches stamp, and if you can read it, there's their number. And of course I did get this at Tuesday Morning. It is my favorite store to shop at, for crafts especially. On the right hand side, you see I made a little pocket here. It's made from tissue pattern instructions right there. Stamped one of my ladies on it. I've sewn lace, and then the inserts came from a 3-ring binder book that I have. I took them out and cut them apart and glued them to the back of the same cardstock. I've stitched around them and added lace. Just little bits and pieces of things that I find in bins and buckets and bags at flea markets and all those kind of things. And so I've just kind of put several of them together to make parts for my journal, and I had a lot of fun doing that. This right here is a pocket that I made from a piece of fabric. I think it was a little tiered dress that a friend of mine cut up and gave me a piece of the lace from, and I just sewed it on here and made a pocket so it can also hold something. And again, when I sew, I just sew. I make the stitch a little longer on my sewing machine. This is straight stitch mostly, and I zigzagged on the outer. It's just whatever my whim is. And I've stamped here where I folded it over. Right here is part of the instructions from the inside of a pattern that tells you how to lay it out. All these are going to be exactly the same on the left side. It's going to be a piece of paper. I've corner rounded it on these sides, left it square on these, and I've stitch stamped on it and got that. This one's kind of a simple little layout, and I like it. I've taken lace, that I have, and I've sewn it to some seam binding. I tore part of a pattern off, stamped a little bit on it, stamped that piece on there and sewed it on. I made it yellow to match the yellow on these dresses, and I've got a little piece up here. These are all made the same. They're just trimmed out differently because I could. There you go. That's why I do most things, because I want to see if it'll work or come together. And this is, again, the inside of the pattern directions. The book had the ladies dressed in either yellow, some of it was just black and white pages, and other were this pretty teal. So I stuck with those 3 colorways, and mostly I've just used that. So this has got blue stitching around it. These ladies have seam binding that I gathered as I sewed across the top. I didn't do anything special on that, and sewed all around here. These go in here, and I did sew this button on there. And I stamped the little girls. These girls came from Inkadinkadoo, and this was Hobby Lobby, and they should still have them, and I hear they're open right now. Well, they closed at 7, but they're open now. And when we turn, Simply Vintage is also in that, and I love that stamp. Turn the page, we have the same thing over here. This is Vintage Style. This came from Paper Tray ink, and I have had it a really long time, and I bought this stamp set because I wanted this stamp so bad after I saw it in a video, and that's what it looks like right there. And there it is. I've used it. I don't really clean my stamps very well, and they seem to work fine. I kept this one simple, and I sewed a lace zipper that I cut down on the side of it. It's also tea-dyed, and a friend of mine gave me that and some things she didn't want any longer. This one I just trimmed in black because that's one of my 3 colors I chose to use, and this one is, again, some of my lace sewn on top of other lace, and the same pattern instructions inside, same. These are actually from a bag of letters I have for some kind of game that you play. And I peeled the tops off and left the bottoms out so that made it thinner, and I sewed across them. I think if this was mine and I was going to keep it, I would probably doodle around the sides of it and do some things to it because it's a little bit light for me. But I do want someone else to have the opportunity to play in it like I did. And this one, I chose to use yellow trim, and this is some really old gold seam binding that I found in my stash. It had never been opened, so it's a lot of fun to have those kind of things to play with. And I pick all these things up when I'm out and about digging in flea markets. I prefer to dig than go through the pretty booths where everything's set up nice. And I love the vintage look of these girls right here. And got something right there. Somebody could color on that if they wanted to. This one's fun, and I've got my little thimble stamped over here, and these are the directions, and another Simply Made. I sewed down the side of this. These are all glued in as pockets this way. I've left some fringes, and I've got the same thing going on right here. Then this one is all black, really simple. Got diagonal stripes on how to make that happen. This one is the instructions, and I've added my stamp and some other things to give it a little more interest, things to see. This is another fun one. This is the buttons, quality buttons, and this is also part of the Paper Tray ink stamp set that I've had for a while. And it's called Button Boutique, Volume 5, Number 7. And isn't it fun? This one had a blank spot there. So, and I think I've told y'all a story. That is not the one that goes with that. And when I find it, I'll let you know, or you can just comment and maybe I'll think of it. But it is by Paper Tray ink, and it's buttons. And I put a button there and I tied some thread that I had through there. Actually, that's just a quilting thread that came up doubled. Vintage lace, and there I sewed around them. And there's the little vintage looking dresses that are so June Cleaver looking. How fun is that? And these girls, this is a whole row of them. Same thing going on here. I kept this one more simple, and I have the lace up under the top with my blue stitching going around. And then this one's got the ladies and the things at the bottom. This price $25 and guaranteed washable are again from the Paper Tray ink stamps. This has got some sari silk sewed in on this top. Same thing going on there. Just the same thing every time. This one has got another pocket, more sari silk, gold on the bottom, and I've got some stamps going on here. This one was really a simple one, and I decided to add more to it. And then this one's got an extra pocket here on the front, and this one has a pocket here, sari silk ribbon. And then when you come here, this is the very last page, and I didn't put a pocket here. I made it the same because the book is already getting a little full. And I just played around and made an extra little tag to go here. You can write on this and do what you want to with it. And I put her in right here. This one says Vintage Finds. And this is simply handmade. This is another front and back card. I think this could be used as a sewing journal, a list keeper for when you're wanting to make a project or you saw something on YouTube, and this could be your little shopping to-go list. There's a lot of things to do with it. This is just one of the ideas. So when I close it all back up, I love how the things look from the top. I'm always been a little messy, hanging out the ends kind of girl, carrying the books home from school and cramming them in my books before I left school. And I'll show you the book. I'll be right there. So sorry. This is a sewing book, Better Homes and Gardens sewing book, and I've kind of whipped through here and just pulled out some pages that I thought were kind of fun and would be fun to cut up because somebody didn't want it and they got rid of it, so I now have it and I can do what I want to with it. I think that's everything. I hope y'all are enjoying your time inside, being safe if you go outside, wear a mask, keep your distance, wash your hands, stay well. Love you guys.